What's up, guys? Dustin and Kyle here. Back with Silence the Talk. We got a special guest with us, Collin Raap, good friend of mine. He is one of the campus pastors
He's not my
at our
friend?
church. Well, have you met him before?
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
My bad.
Hey, dude. This is what I got to deal with all the time.
Yeah. Well, whatever. So Collin's here with us, which is super exciting. He's got awesome testimony, and he is one of our campus pastors at our church. He also runs a recovery program, which just started, actually, and it's going great. So we thought we'd bring him on and just talk about how some of those struggles, work out in Christianity. And we're just going to kind of give him the floor and see where it leads today. So welcome to the podcast, Collin.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Guys.
so
Yeah, baby.
if you just want to maybe give a general idea about yourself or whatever, and obviously I already introed what you do, but how you got into the recovery program, why you, out of everyone at our church, and how that looks.
Yeah. No, so for me, really, God was something I didn't really give much thought to in my life. I mean, I grew up in going to the Catholic Church, and so I had those basic principles behind me of kind of who God was and whatnot, but it wasn't a relationship. It was more through just doing it because my parents made me go to church and everything. And then for me, it was really probably the next pivotal thing in my life was when my parents ended up getting a divorce, because that split times. And so then you weren't going to church every weekend. You would kind of go here and there. But really what I found myself is going through traumatic things as a child. It really brought me to places where the church was a place I didn't want to go to. I felt more condemnation when I went to church, when I read scripture, when I saw what sin was, when I really dove into things. And it was like, well, why do I want any of this, God, in my life?
Yeah.
Where's the forgiveness? Where's the love? If I'm damned for hell, then what's the point? And so really, just as I continued to go through and wrestle with some of those traumatic things that happened and some of those struggles that I had to face as a kid, it brought me to a place where really it was probably my junior year in high school. I found alcohol, and for me, I just dove in head first. I mean, first time I drank was blackout drunk, puking. It was not a pretty sight. But for me, it was I figured out, you know what? This is an escape from my problems. This is an escape from all of that stuff that happened to me in my past. I can walk free. I don't have a care in the world to give about anything. And so for me, then at that age, I really started to figure out, you know what? Look for the escape. Look for the escape in any situation. So I ended up starting to chew at that age, and I started drinking. I started smoking pot here and there. And really, it was just anything that took my mind off it. Pornography even came into the picture. And
Who introduced you to that stuff? How do you just stumble upon that?
Well, you can't name drop, dude. I'm on a podcast.
Was it like the
Snitches
crowd?
get stitches, man. You should know that.
Was it the crowd you were running with, or?
I guess, when it came to drinking, it was just kind of, stumbled on it. We thought it would be a cool thing to try. And then with chewing, it was a buddy just saying, hey, try this. With pornography, I mean, it was finding a porno mag at first, just on a walk home from school. So they were stumbles on. And then once you open the door, I mean, it's full blown, pretty easy to get your hands on things.
I feel like I've been there before. Same scenario, drinking, I didn't go to college, but right out of high school, got a house with a bunch of friends, instantly got into the drinking thing.
Yep.
Constantly drinking every weekend, party and stuff like that. So I can relate to that. And then the pouring came up as well. And it ain't something that, it's something that people had videos to start, you know what I mean, kicking on. And then it was it almost just stacked on top of each other, turned into watching it all the time, you know what I mean? So it's stuff that kind of progresses and gets worse in your head, you know what I mean, as you get with your friends, and it's
Oh, yeah. And it's
just
hey,
gets
check
toxic,
this out.
you know
Hey,
what I
try
mean?
this. Hey.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit of wanting that acceptance,
I agree.
especially like you said with the church and stuff, you didn't feel that at all. It was condemnation. It's you weren't part of it. You were something separate. You were something different. You weren't good enough for that. You get into that kind of stuff and you start to feel comfortable with, oh, everyone else is doing it now. I feel good because like I'm accepted into this group. We're all doing it together.
Yep.
You know, it's a tough thing.
Yeah, and for me, it wasn't even as much of like the group social setting. It was more so just that escape.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what? Finally a place to be free. I don't care what I got to do to take my mind off it. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with my problems then. I don't have these negative thoughts. I don't have this crap running through my head. Like, I can just totally alleviate all that. And so really I started diving into all that stuff, and you would have never known. I mean, like if you came across me, I was just came across as the happy kid. I mean, like I was the happy kid. I was always smiling. I was the jokester. I was doing whatever it was to make other people laugh. But then I'd start drinking, and when I'd start blacking out, man, it was like a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Like start punching myself in the face, do whatever I could do, just didn't care about nothing. And I just carried that stuff into college, and then it was just easier. So I went to college. My goal was to go to be a police officer, funny enough. And it was, I got to GVSU, and my first weekend there, I ended up getting an MIP. And classes hadn't even started yet or anything. Go get that MIP, and then it was like, all right, well, lesson learned was, hey, don't drink here, do it at home. And so really, I didn't spend much time at college when it came to the weekends. I'd go party, do all that kind of stuff. And really, it was just, that was my whole point, was just drowned out things from the past. Well, then it was that freshman year at college. My best friend, his dad ended up passing away. And so that was the role model in my life. I mean, he was a police officer. He was young. He was the one I looked up to and everything. And he passed away. And really, it got me thinking about life. And honestly, I was pretty pissed off at God, because for me, the questions came in of like, why'd you take him? Like, take me. Here I am miserable. Like, I don't have a family. I don't have kids. Like, do me a favor. Take me instead. Like, and it just drove me to this dark, dark place to where I wasn't working. I wasn't doing anything at that time. We lost our house to foreclosure, so I was living with a buddy and his family. They took me in graciously, and I would literally just drink at night, do whatever I had to do. I'd sleep till 3 p.m, had no value, no purpose. And
so was church a part of anything at all during this period of time? Like,
No.
were you going to church or had a relationship with God or anything?
no, I mean, I'd pray here and there, but that's about it. Like, there was no going to church. That stopped for me after I was confirmed.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of your choice, and you could go if you want. So at that point, church wasn't really in the equation for me at all. And then it led to a point where I ended up, so after he passed away, go through that dark season, I eventually starting to climb out of it. And really for me, then that's when I found more escapes. I mean, that's when I ended up having sex and figuring out what all that was like and dealing with other things. And so my battles just got bigger, and my battles just started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And really it was just drowning out all this stuff of like, I wasn't happy with who I was. I had no identity. I had no purpose. I had no point to my life. And I was just going through the motions, doing what you're supposed to do. So eventually I start working. I get involved in college again, start going to CC, not doing criminal justice, but just checking stuff out. And I was just doing it because that's what you were supposed to do. But the weekends would come, man, or even the weeknights, and it was like you're polishing a fifth that night. The weekends come, you're just drinking till you pass out. I mean, I was
Live for the weekends?
Oh, 100%, man. And one of my buddies actually told me during that season, he's like, Collin, you have a problem, man. I was like, I don't have a problem. You guys are drinking too. And he's like, no, man, like we're drinking, but you're going. And like, there was times where I punched trees, broke my hand. I mean, I was angry. I'd try to fight anyone. I'd try to do whatever I had to do. I didn't have a care, man. And so really then the next pinnacle thing for me was I ended up moving down to KZoo with somebody, started dating a girl, and I fell in love with her. I mean, I'll be real. I fell in love with her, and we weren't doing everything the godly way. And for me, it was hard because I could see literally how I was taking her down the wrong path. And here she was, like, living a good life, going to a Christian school, had a good head on her shoulders. And there was me who never dealt with any of my own baggage and those things from the past. So I just started dragging her along through it. And then things started happening. And I mean, I could literally see how she was starting to follow in my footsteps, but I didn't know how to stop it. I couldn't say anything. And we just lived that party lifestyle, and I just kept working, doing all that stuff, and was miserable. Well, then it came to a point where she ended up catching me in one too many lies. I was hiding my chewing from her because she was trying to get me to stop. So I'd hide cans in the bathroom, do stuff like that. I was hiding the drinking from her. I'd drink 16 beers at work, then come home and already be drunk and everything. And then she actually ended up catching me with pornography, and I couldn't understand why she was hurt so much. Like, to me, it was, what, this doesn't affect you. Well, then she started telling me about how it actually did, and it really opened my eyes to, like, holy cow, like, I'm a mess, and I'm starting to affect the people I care about. Well, thankfully, she ended up breaking up with me. And I say that now, but at the time it sucked. But one of the things that she told me was, Collin, you love other people more than you love yourself. And with that, we can't stay together. And I could just see all the hurt that I had caused her and all this mess. And I didn't know what to do. So for me, I just dove in harder to the drugs, dove in harder to the drinking. I mean, I'd go out, work all day long, 12-hour shifts, and drink after work, go to my night classes, and then I would end up going to the bar, black out 5 out of 7 nights a week, man. Like, get kicked out of the bars because I was too drunk, just stumbling around, doing my thing, and I was just miserable, you guys. Like, it was terrible. But for me, it was what I knew as life. And then eventually it led to a point where one night I went out drinking, just a Tuesday night, and I ended up getting picked up in an ambulance. I had blood pouring out of my head, no idea what happened. And when I ended up trying to get someone to come get me from the hospital, there was no one to call. I mean, it was like the boy that cried wolf. And so when I checked out, my BAC was like a .26 or something like that. Yeah. And so I can't imagine what I was at that point. And so for me, I was like, you know what? I've got a problem drinking. I need to quit. Like, I need to stop. Well, how do you do that? Yeah. I mean, how do you do that when it's all you know and you have all that stuff from your past?
So were your friends, like, tailing back, like, because you were spiraling out of control? Like, were they, like, one friend you mentioned said, hey, dude, you got a problem, you know what I mean? Did they start backing out, or were they still in the process and in the...
Yeah, they weren't backing out. I mean, I think it was kind of like everyone knew Collin had a problem. Yeah. But nobody was going to tell Collin he had a problem. Yeah. Because then Collin's going to get angry. Then Collin's going to make a scene. That. Yeah. Like, it was just kind of what I did. And so no one wanted to face it. And really, I tried to quit drinking at that point, tried to quit stuff, and I just couldn't, man. And just living in that house was hard because me and my ex, like, lived together as well, and it was just hard. Like, I was so depressed, and I put all my worth into her, and it was like, now she's gone, and it was just a mess, you guys. And then you skip a couple months, and I was drinking again, and then I was trying to quit. I mean, anytime you try, you fail. You try, you fail. You try, you fail. And finally it led to, we were going to a bachelor party for one of my buddies, and we were going down to Nashville, Tennessee, actually. And we're headed down there, and the whole way down, I'm like, I'm going to take it easy. Like, I'm not going to get obliterated.
You had it in your head. You're like, I'm going to calm down a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm going to calm down a little bit. I just had that incident where I got picked up by the ambulance, and I was trying to not tell my parents and not claim it on insurance. So these medical bills start pouring in. They're tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? Like, what's the point? We get down to Nashville, and I end up getting into an argument with my buddies and end up just going all out. And so I ended up separating from them, and I ended up at this bar alone. And I remember drinking at the bar. I remember talking to the waitress, and then it pretty much just goes hairy. And for me, I couldn't tell you. I mean, it was probably like a 7-hour period that I had no idea what happened. I remember just coming back to 4:30 in the morning, walking back miles to our Airbnb with no idea of what happened.
Man.
And I was blacked out, but I could remember being scared for my life. I could remember being suicidal. I could remember like cops. I could remember different things, but I couldn't piece anything together. And for me, it was like, what is happening in my life? Like, where am I heading? And I even remember at that time, I didn't have a relationship with God, really. So I even started just asking, like, God, where are you?
Yeah.
Like, if you're real, I need you, and I need you now. Like, I don't know. And so really, I went through that weekend, and it was an interesting weekend because I was kind of like just a shell after that night, and I didn't really engage with anything. I was just going through the motions with everybody, and then we were on our way back home from Nashville, and I remember, like, now sitting where I am, I know it was God working at me, but I remember just sitting in the back seat of that car the whole way home, just going, where am I at in life? Like, I'm suicidal. I have an alcohol problem. I have a pornography problem. I have all these issues, and I don't even know what to do. I don't know where to turn. Where do I go? Like, I'm either going to end up dead. Who knows what happened just a few days ago? People could be looking for me. I could have the law after me. Like, I have no idea what happened, but I'm either going to end up dead or I'm going to end up in jail for a long time here if nothing changes. And so I ended up riding back. I ended up getting back to our apartment, and I ended up telling my buddies. I just sat them down in the living room, and I was just honest with them. And I just told them, like, hey guys, like, this isn't going to make sense, but I'm depressed. I'm suicidal. I need to do something different.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't where I want to be in life. And I was bawling my eyes out, talking to them. And I was like, so I don't know what this means, but I'm going to just let you guys know right now I'm leaving. And whew.
Yeah, dude.
And I end up leaving, and I was like, well, where do I go? Like, what do I do? I just know I need something different. And so I ended up calling my mom, and I had a strained relationship with her from some of the stuff in the past. And I was just like, hey, I need a place to go. Like, I've hit rock bottom, and I just need a place to go. And so I ended up going to my mom, and she lives in Hastings. So I went to her house, and her and my stepdad just opened the door, and I just went in a bawling mess, and I just came clean on everything.
Yeah.
Just everything in life and where I was at. And I just told him, like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if people are looking for me. I don't know if I'm in trouble with the law. I don't know, but I just need a place to go.
Yeah.
And so they took me in, and it was crazy, man, because she had open arms, and she was willing to walk through it. And for me, I was like, holy cow.
That's what you're looking for, someone to open up, to tell your stuff to, right?
Yeah. And so from there, I ended up going to a doctor, actually, because I was like, hey, I got anxiety, I got depression, I'm going to need professional help. And so I ended up going to this doctor, and I'm talking to him, and right away he's like, tell me what's going on, Collin. I just come clean with him. I told him everything, all the drugs, everything. And I was just like, man, I need help. Like, I don't know what it looks like, but I need help. And I actually had met him from an incident when I was drinking one time, where it was shortly after that breakup. I went on a spring break, and I ended up actually having, like, I don't know if you could basically call it like a mini stroke, because I had some concussions. I just kept drinking all week when I was down there. I got back, I lost all feeling in my face, and then half of my body went. I couldn't talk, like, and so he was the doctor I had to go to after that incident. And so I end up going to him, and I open up, I tell him all that stuff, and he's just checking my vitals and everything, and he ends up looking at me, and he said, Collin, what you need, you don't need any medication. He said, yeah, you need something to get by, but what you need more is to get back to your roots. and he pointed at a cross on my side, which was a tattoo that I got for my best friend's dad that passed away that freshman year at college. And so for me, I knew at that point what it meant. And I knew that God had to be in this equation. But it's still, I didn't know what. Like, I didn't know anything. And so I ended up going to my mom's after that, and I was living with her. And so right after that appointment, we're on the way home, and I end up just looking up churches in Berry County. And so I Googled that, first one that pops up. So I end up going there, and that weekend there was this pastor on the stage talking, and it was like he was just reading my mail, talking right to me. The series that they were starting was actually based on repurposing your life, and it was based off from the 12 steps of AA. And so for me, I knew in that moment that God was real.
He was meeting you right there.
And he was meeting me right where I was at. And so that pastor gave an opportunity for you to rededicate your life. And so I did. And I was a weeping mess, but I was like, you know what? This is all my hope, man. This is my last chance. Like, this don't work. I'm probably toast. Like, I'm going to go all out. And so I ended up leaving church that day, and I ended up telling my friends, like, hey, you might not hear from me for a little while. I got to focus on myself. And I ended up going and buying some books and got some devotionals. I ended up selling my video games because I knew that'd be a distraction. And I just eliminated anything that would pull me away from this God stuff. And I just started diving in, and I just started reading devotionals and listening to podcasts and doing all these things, started serving at that church, and just really started getting plugged in. And really I started to find purpose, because for me, I was like, wow, like I can serve other people. I can help other people. I can do all these different things. And like, holy cow, this is huge. And so I started to do that. And then I just stuck with it. And it was crazy how many different God things happened. Like, I showed up at work that Monday, and my boss gave me a Bible. He had no idea that I went to church that Sunday.
Wow.
Like, he's just like, this is what God needed me to do. And then even looking up, like, I'd Google my names at times, and I found out I was like on a prayer list at that time when I was even going through all this. And it was like so much that God orchestrated. But I just started to keep building myself up through who God said I was. And I started to realize, like, you know what? The only way I can do this is with God. And the only way that I can do this is by dealing with that stuff that I was running from. And man, it sucked.
I can imagine.
It sucked because I had all this regret. I had all these hurts. I had all these pains. I had all these things that I tried to run from. And I knew the only way was face them head on. And so I had to start doing that in my life, and I had to come real and bring up those hard things that I went through, and I had to actually like confront things head on. And I started to do that, and I started to find healing, and I just continued to go to God and continued to just trust certain individuals even that he placed in my life. And just with those steps, it led me to a place where I was like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, God wants me to do ministry. Like, maybe. But I'm still raw. I mean, I'm probably a year and a half sober, 2 years at that point, and I was just raw.
So to get sober, I mean, you had to hit rock bottom, obviously, but you had to want to change.
100%.
You can't do it for somebody else. Or, you know, I have a stepmom that is alcoholic, and she's been there. She's went to AA. She's went to all these places, but she's never wanted to do it for herself. Yeah. So she's never changed. And I feel like that's the moment you had, was like, I want to do this for myself. This is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was that rock bottom where it was like, you know what? I have to do this for myself because otherwise I'm going to end up dead or in jail or whatever, something.
Prison, whatever.
And so it was crazy because I started to take those steps. And like I said, I started to think ministry maybe in my equation, but I was still a mess. And I end up at that time, I was serving in a lot of different areas within a church, and I was helping with groups and stuff. And I started to feel that, like, hey, maybe there's something else. Well, then I ended up meeting a girl, and that ended up being a whole God situation in itself. It was one of my coworkers at that time. He knew her mom from when he was in juvie, and he had been laying groundwork because he always told me, I'm going to find your next girlfriend. I'm like, yeah, right, dude. Like, I'm good. I'll pass. But he ends up introducing me to this girl who's now my wife. And we did this long distance stuff. She was living in Colorado for like 8 months. And I'm starting to feel that, hey, step into ministry. Well, I'm a mess, man. Like, here's this girl in the equation now, and I've got this good job where I'm a foreman and everything else. But I started to feel that push of, hey, try ministry. And so I actually applied at a job at the church, and the original one I have applied for ended up getting filled because I was debating on, hey, am I going to end up moving out to Colorado or what? And so that one got filled, but then there was a position open in the maintenance department. So I was like, you know what? I've mowed grass. I've done things. I'll give it a shot. Like, if God wants it, it'll happen. And so I apply for this job, and I end up getting that job. And I start working at this church, and I'm still just continuing to take those steps, man. Like, I'm continuing to just be faithful to whatever he's putting right in front of me. And I was telling testimony and stuff at church and stuff, and I was a wreck. I was on the stage, like, shaking, bawling my eyes out. Like, I'm surprised anyone even understood what I was saying, to be honest with you. But I ended up taking those steps, and I just continued to be faithful to whatever he put in front of me. And it was just amazing. I started seeing like the leadership potential and things like that. Yeah. I went to this man camp that another church was offering, and I ended up being real with those people for the first time about some of those traumatic things that happened in my life. And I saw how God worked through that. And so for me, then I was like, we need this at our church. And so then I ended up powering through and getting one of those going and started these man camps. And
which I'm going to man camp this year.
All right. I was telling you, a caveat was I wasn't doing this podcast if you didn't go.
I'm in.
I told him earlier, I said, I'm working on Dustin to get to man camp. And he said, I'm not going to do this podcast unless he agrees to go.
I'm in.
So now everybody knows if you don't go, you're a liar.
I know, especially here.
You lose all credibility with all these
Not
people.
Good.
Not good. Collin, what's the important thing? Like, what is it that's so great about man camp that has made you grow in such a way to the fact that you thought it was so important to bring back to church? What is it about that experience?
I think the experience with that man camp was really that I could be real with my struggles. I could be real with where I was as a man. I could be real just and met with open arms. And for me, it was eye-opening. Holy cow, there's other people that have struggled with some of this stuff. There's other people that have walked the same walk that I've walked. And you know what? We're all here. Yeah. We're all chasing God. We're not that different.
Yeah.
Like, we need this. And I experienced that freedom that came from being real. And that freedom is what I wanted to bring to other men. And so that's where I was like, we need this man camp, to answer your question. And yeah, now I love it, man. Like, I love it. There's nothing like seeing those guys set free.
Get
by
vulnerable.
The end of a weekend, get vulnerable, praising God, praying over each other, and just seeing what he does. The Holy Spirit's moved in some pretty sweet ways. But we don't have time to go into all that. And
I just find that, like, when you surround yourself with like-minded people, like this man camp thing and small groups like we talk about, Dustin and I talk about a lot, being around people who are going after God and dealing with the same struggles that you're dealing with or similar. And for those of you that don't know, Collin also started a Monday mornings men's group that I'm part of. And we see that every time when someone's dealing with something, there's always somebody who has gone through a similar situation and have seen the other side of it, and they're able to speak into that person. And it's awesome because it's not like we're leading anything. No one's really leading the group. We're just there together sharing our stories. And it's just amazing how the Spirit works in it. And we're just amazed sometimes we're just get to the end of it and we're like, I can't even believe that happened. You know, there's always something where someone says something and another dude in the group just starts speaking life into them.
Oh yeah.
And just the power of community and bringing people up in that, and the fact that you've changed your life, God's changed your life, and you've brought a men's group to our church. You've started these tribes. You started that Monday morning Bible study. Now you're getting into a compassion recovery program.
Man.
You know, after you've gone through all that stuff, it's just crazy to me how God works. And just hearing your story, you know, like you have the doctor who was part of your old life. He's taking care of you when you are drunk and going through that mess. And then God brings it back around to the same guy, and he still has grace for you.
Yeah.
Your parents still have grace for you, bring you in. I mean, that's Jesus right there.
Yeah.
They're living out, whether they know it or not. That's Jesus' love right there.
For sure.
That's a grace that you can only get from God. And you can't chalk that up as a coincidence.
Oh, 100%. Coincidences are out the window,
No.
man. I mean,
Heck
we
no.
talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
And really, for me, I started doing the man camp, started doing men's ministry, and I was like, I still think there's more. And so I ended up I was like, I need to go get more education and stuff. So I ended up going to school. I ended up getting my degree in ministry leadership. And at that time, I ended up getting a campus pastor position. And yeah, then I just started to just step out of those comfort zones. And that's what I realized was like, if God calls you to it, if you feel that inkling, he's going to make a way if you're supposed to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just started to just be faithful. And it was like, you know what? This is his story now. This ain't mine. And I'm going to just say yes to those opportunities, even when I'm scared, even when I'm petrified and have no idea how I'm going to do it. Well, that's where true faith comes in, you guys. And so for me, even as a campus pastor, I've just seen some really cool things, been able to walk with people and disciple people through those hard seasons in life. And the reasons, because I remember me. Like, I remember me and what it felt like to
You've
be
been
a
through
mess.
some hard times.
Yeah, and like what it felt like to be a mess and not know what to do, not know where to go. So now if I can be that person that God uses to pray for somebody, to be real with somebody, to just see them where they're at and just call it out in them and to walk beside them, like it's been really cool. And now I can baptize people and just, I don't know, man, it's crazy when you can start being the hands and feet of Jesus. That's what gets me fired up. When you can walk in the trenches and help the people.
We're all called to, man. We're all called to do that. And
100%.
that's what everybody's got their calling. And someone, you just got to find it. You know what I mean? And you pray about it and get into it with God. He'll tell you, he'll lead you to that for sure.
And sometimes when you get in that deep, deep struggle, you feel like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? But when you come out on the other side of it, like you have, and you're starting to live it out, you're starting to realize the reasons that you went through that stuff and how God is using it so that you can minister to other people. He had this prepared for you before you even knew it, you know, and he had to walk you through the fire so that he could prepare you so that you could do what you're doing today. And it's a pretty cool thing it's not easy in the moment, but to look back and see it. But when those next moments come where you're walking through the fire, to have that to fall back on and go, all right, God, I remember what you did last time, and I know what you're going to do now. And being able to trust him in the moment when you're in the fire and being like, you know what? I'm actually going to praise you through this, and I'll be expecting of something good to happen and come out of this thing. So, and it's just, and because life ain't easy, and just because you come out of it doesn't mean you're going to be back in it again. But when you start walking through that stuff again, it's awesome how you can fall back on that stuff and it just builds your faith back up to where you can just keep going after God in the moment and knowing that he's going to bring good out of it in the end.
Oh, 100%. And I think too, like even with that, like you said, like he's going to do it again. Well, that's one of the biggest lies that we get caught into is believing, hey, when I start following Jesus, my life's going to be easy. No, that's another story.
Yeah.
Your life gets harder.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, it gets harder.
It does.
It gets harder. There's suffering. But you know what? That's what Jesus even did. He gave us the perfect model. I mean, he had to suffer so that we could find freedom. And really, even in that, Like, that's the reason that I started that recovery program, was because I knew that there was people out there that needed that freedom. And I just couldn't run from the fact that God wanted to do that, and he wanted to do it at the church, and he wanted to break down those walls and just have a place for those people to go. And it's been amazing to just see what he's doing. But really, for me, what I've found, you guys, is like, in all the struggles I went through and all of I'm coming up on 6 years in ministry now, but what I've really found is you have to deal with the hard things in life. You have to deal with the hard things from your past, the trauma, the regrets, all of those things that you just try to bury and act like aren't there. You have to deal with them, because when you deal with them, you can find that freedom that God has for you through it, and you'll start to see the bigger purpose, and you can start to see your identity shift from an alcoholic, drunk, no good person to a child of God that's called to grow his kingdom and make disciples. There's a big difference there in that identity that you're throwing on yourself day in and day out. When you look in the mirror and you don't see regret anymore, when you don't see all of the old shame that you used to see, it can be pivotal, and it can really start to formulate. And so really what I have found is, even through ministering to some of those people in the trenches, the fact of the matter is that hurt people hurt people. And so we need to be open. We need to be open to whatever God brings across our plate. When you see somebody, don't just look at them and what they've done and be like, you know what, we can't minister to them. Because God's going to challenge you.
Oh, yeah.
God's going to challenge you, and he's going to start to bring it closer to your life.
And we're not called to be that. We're not called to be the judge.
100%.
We're supposed to walk along, alongside people, not judge them and act like you're above them.
Well, and what's crazy is God will start to shift your heart, and you'll start to find yourself praying for people that you never thought you would pray for.
Oh, yeah.
You'll start to find yourself crying over things that you never would have cried about.
I know.
You'll find yourself pulling up the seat to just talk with the person that you would have never sat and talked with. And why? Because you realize that hurt people hurt people. And because Jesus gave you that forgiveness, he gave you that grace. And when you start walking in that freedom, you want to give it to other people as well.
Amen. Yes.
Because you know that's where true change can happen. You know that's where the power of the gospel and the power of Christ comes in. And so that's probably like my biggest encouragement to anyone even listening, is just step out of your comfort zones, deal with the hard things, don't run from them, and then just be open and obedient to what God puts in front of you. Find trusted people in your life that you can walk with, and just continue to go to him. Even when it's hard, go to him. Even when you don't want to, go to him. Even when you slip up, even when you mess up, go to him. Be honest with people, and you'll be amazed, because he's going to start to bring people into your life.
And say they don't have a trusted person to go to, a recovery program or something like you run is somewhere to go as well, right?
Yeah, you could come to the recovery program. You could go wherever. But I truly believe God will bring people into your life when you're at that point. And then you start to see even discipleship start to happen. And that's what's cool, even sitting here with you guys, is like, I can see how Kyle has been discipled. And then, you know what? Dustin was then discipled by Kyle.
Yeah.
And now Dustin's discipling other people.
Yeah.
And now here you guys are making this podcast trying to reach other people. And you know what it is? It was two people that found Christ's love and found his forgiveness that now want to share it to the rest of the world, or the rest of whoever it touches.
On that, man.
Yeah, I'd never thought it would be to the point that it is, But first, where it started with you is admitting that you were messed up, coming to that point where you just laid it all out. You confessed it. You can't work on dealing with your stuff until you admit that you have it, and confessing that, and just identifying it. And then also, I've had to go deeper enough, even as a Christian, asking God to find even more in me. Mine is pride, find something that I know there's something deeper, and you got to show it to me because I know there's more, and just keep refining yourself, but keeping those people around you to do life with that can hold you accountable, that can walk alongside with you. And, with Dustin and I, we're to a point in our friendship where we don't get mad at each other when we call each other out on stuff because we know it's in our best interest,
Right.
and we're going after the same things here. And, it really is amazing and how God orchestrates stuff. Like, at church on Sunday, I'm speaking to a guy and he starts talking to me about how he needs to give up control. And I know Dustin, that's one of his big things. And he's walking by as we're talking. And I go, oh, Dustin deals with that. And I'm like, hey, Dustin, he's talking about giving up control. And boom. Like, I didn't even ask him to talk to him. He's in the conversation. And now Dustin is ministering to this dude about
and what's
giving
crazy?
up control.
2 years ago, I'd have been like, yep.
See ya.
You know what I mean? I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
just to sit back and watch you, just speak into that guy's life. And I'm just, it's awesome when you can sit back and know that it's not you, it's God in you.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a cool thing because if we thought it was us, we would always feel like we're not good enough.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to fail. We can't do this. But to be able to sit back and watch God work and know that he's in control, man, it's way easier because the God of the universe is in control of it.
He has
you
it
just
all.
need to sit back and just relax.
Well, and that's why we created a podcast, man. Share testimonies like Kyle's or like Colin's and get it out there. Because there's so many people struggling with the same things. And that's where we don't understand as Christians is as we do our walk, there's so many people that are in your same spot you were a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. And if we don't share that and get it out, those people will never be touched, maybe. You know what I mean? So it's just our calling is to get it out. I mean, he talks about it in the Bible all the time. Share your testimony, share your stories, and that's the way you'll bring people to the kingdom. So,
Oh yeah, the power of his blood and the power of your testimony.
amen.
Yeah. It's a good spot to end right there, I think.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being on, man.
Yeah.
No, thanks
We
for
got her
having me
done.
on, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully you convert to Broncos fans eventually. but-
Golly, this cat is a Bronco NFL football fan.
What's sad is I don't hate them, so that's good.
Russell Wilson?
Now, if you were a Packers fan,
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't have had you on a podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
No, thanks for having me,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks.
yeah, appreciate it.
Silence the talk.